Hey, hello everybody. Yes, it is Thursday, and you're in the evening. It's 9 p.m, so it's UK Cowboys time. How are we doing, guys?
Sweating my balls off.
Telling me, it is
Hence,
boiling.
hence I'm wearing this. So
Tickets to the gun show.
Yeah, it is, of course, season 2, episode 119, deep into the off-season program, guys. We are continuing the positional breakdown series. We are on to the tight ends, which finishes off the offense, which means then we get to do the spicy side. We get to get on the defense. I'm really looking forward to that. And you guys, you know how much I love the offensive side of the ball, but I'm looking forward to doing the defense for the Cowboys. What do you reckon?
Well, all things considering, with now how things are getting shifted about with a new defensive coordinator, new coaches, new potential system, there's a lot of factors to think about. So that's what makes it really exciting to kind of start breaking it down and what we think for our D line. We think about the linebacker core. I'm not throwing names out. Just where does Jabril Cox fit in? What about LVE? Like Jalen? Just those 4 linebackers. Like what is the main roles that are going to happen with those guys now? Because obviously with the adjustments we're going to be doing. So that alone, I'm quite intrigued to see what we're going to be doing.
Yeah, should be a lot of fun. And here's an interesting fact for you. They announced the worst coach of 2020. Can you guess who it was?
It was Mike Nolan.
Yes.
I saw that.
So that about says it all, really. But yes, we won't quite delve into the defense. I do have, though, an interesting article that I'm going to put up over the weekend about Nashon Wright. Yeah, thank you very much for that. DJ Dog always coming in strong. But we'll start off, guys, first of all, bashing out in usual fashion our news and updates. First of all, we'll start off low and then we'll come up high. So the first news is Jim Fassel, who's New York Giants coach and father of special teams coordinator for the Cowboys. John Fassel died earlier on this week at the age of 71. Just wanted to put it out from UK Cowboys that our thoughts are with the Fassel family, and he makes absolutely it very clear about the influence that his dad had, talking in respects to John Fassel, of what the role had on him from his father and the influence he had. He will say straight up. So it was just to start off there. I know we here in the UK is with you over there. So thoughts with you on that one. But let's move on from that into more of the happier news. As I say, start off low, come up high. Anyone seen Zeke this week in training? Looking a bit trim, looking a bit thin, don't you think?
I've been saying that since he's been releasing those videos. He looks in fantastic condition.
Yes.
And we not even start training camp yet. Like, the fact is, like, we're actually already memeing Zeke and Jalen already, and the camp's not even started. Like, I don't know if and we will have our critics with Jalen. Like, I do like Jalen, but there's this one meme where Zeke does Zeke things and Jalen does Jalen things, and it's like it's like Zeke dodges and Jalen misses a tackle. In a way, I thought it was kind of funny. Like, within Cowboys Nation, I thought that was quite funny, to be fair. But
if you're not pulling it with malice.
Yeah. But overall, though, I'm very excited because Zeke looks as though he is refocused. Like, he's actually had a good proper start to his training camp this year. He's coming up. So there's obviously you could use last year with the whole COVID situation and stuff like that. Like, it may have dampened his off-season training, whatever. Who knows? But from what we can tell, with him and Dak secured, they two have been linked up. They've been going to Dak's back garden in his own home and that, working out. He's doing his strength and conditioning program. He looks fantastic shape. So, and from what everyone within the Star in Frisco, like Hitman Harrison's been saying as well, like Zeke's looking fantastic. So, I'm looking forward to it.
And I think, to be honest with you, I don't know what you think, but I know we've done the running backs already, but there's no harm in going back and forth on it.
Not at all.
That I think for the style of game that Mike McCarthy wants to play, I think that more slimmer Zeke, bit more mobile, bit more burst and quickness from the feet on him is more what he's after rather than that rough and tumble truck style running back.
I think this is going to play a big part to Zeke's longevity as well.
That too.
There's I think the only running back I could think of that has managed to last that long, being that type of power back, it's not Emmitt Smith. It was Jerome Bettis, the bus.
Yeah, that on more the extreme side.
Yeah, on the extreme side of things.
Yeah.
I mean, he had a really long career. It was the Bills and Steelers he played for, right?
The Bears.
The Bears. But either way, but he managed to play exceedingly well within the type of style of football of a running back that he played. It was really like trucking players, like breaking off tackles. He didn't have the agility to dodge tackles and that, but he would just basically trample over people and that. But I think with Zeke though, there's a good possibility, a good chance that if you might maybe have 2 more seasons of doing that type of style of running before things start.
Where you're going?
Before things start wearing down. I mean, so I mean, I don't know what you guys think.
I think it's imperative as well. The last couple of years that he's had, he comes in this kind of shape. Like I say, just because, not saying he puts on loads of weight, but like I say, you don't want your running back having to come in and slim down a bit and having to do what he's done in the off season, build it up into the pre-season games. He's got it there, and he can hit the ground running, and he can concentrate on getting this playbook down. Yeah,
I mean, when you really do think about it, though, Jamie, like the past 2 off seasons, there's been a lot of. Right, last year was the whole COVID situation, and the season before was the contract negotiation, which played a big factor on Zeke especially. And if you were to take the last 2 seasons, they're not like, even though he still produced on the field, he still got his running yards, he scored touchdowns, maybe not up to what we expect, but he was still putting points on the board. But when you compare from his first 3 seasons before that, minus the suspension, he's been phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal. So with now going into this season, and you're now coming in with a fresh, proper training camp, proper off season, everyone's now kind of adjusted to what to do with the whole pandemic situation in terms of access to facilities, all that type of stuff, so the players can focus properly and do what they need to do. And we're seeing the fruits of that labour, what Zeke is transformed himself into before even the training camp starts. So I'm freaking excited for training camp. I am excited for
it. Well, here's one for you. Talking of conditioning and strength, have you seen Tyron Smith's comments this week?
No.
Oh, man. Wait until you hear this.
Oh, no, the interview he did for Cowboys.com. Yes, I did. I did watch it.
Yeah, basically he turned around and he said...
He was talking
his left arm.
His left arm.
His neck and his left arm.
Yes,
yeah.
Yes.
So basically, turn around and is saying, I know it's very off-season shenanigan style. Everyone's always in the greatest shape of their life, aren't they, this time of year? But he's turned around and said, look, I feel stronger than ever. This is his words. He said, I've had issues with the loss of feeling in my left arm my entire football career.
Oh, no, it was loss of strength he had. It was the loss of strength.
Yeah, loss of strength and feeling, which come from a result of stingers. Since not playing this year, the strength and the feelings come back. Bear in mind, he plays left tackle. So and we know how dominant Tyron Smith is. And you're saying that we've only had a 50% Tyron Smith that whole time. And he was from USC, if I remember. And I remember rightly, yeah. And he's going back to his college days, saying that he had those issues then.
Well, mate, I'm going to stop you there before we get our hopes head up, and I'm going to take it from Graham's. I don't want to be the sad one bringing this down again, because I still have a feeling that we're not going to get a full season out of him.
Yeah, I agree.
And I feel that it's kind of more of a reality more than anything.
I don't know. I'm not sure on that one. The way he's going and the way he looks as well.
I
He
would
looks ready to play.
Oh yeah, don't get me wrong. Him, Zach Martin, and Lyle Collins to me is the biggest change in my personal opinion.
Trim.
He looks in phenomenal condition. Yeah. From what you saw him in the off season last year, when he couldn't train he ballooned, and not in a good healthy way. But he's managed to come back down, get into a really fantastic physique for playing his position. So, but
if you look at if you take away the fact, like I said, the stingers and the thing in his arm, how many times has Tyron Smith looked ready in the off season and he's broken down in the season?
I know.
I agree.
Here's the thing, though, I definitely hear what you're saying, because all it takes is just one wee knock, and that's you got a stinger, and that's it. It's probably realigned it, because we don't know. Like, even though it's not full contact yet, we don't know. And it's so hard to say, because offensive line is pretty much, you pretty much are a punching bag to a certain extent. You can only take so many hits. Yeah, you may take a year out recovery from injury and that, but there's always going to be something that might bring that back to make it reoccur again. You know, it's never. So, but I'm going to stick with my guts. I still don't think Tyron's not going to play a full season. I still don't think
I got PMA. I got the PMA. So he's going all the way, mate. He's playing all 17 games,
plus
regular, plus the playoffs, plus the Super Bowl. But all right, we'll continue on this one. Kelvin Joseph, just so you know, hasn't been in practice much this week. Had to stay away. Does look like, though, at this stage,
it better not be because of the fucking rap career.
No, it was Rona.
Did he have to isolate or something, didn't he?
Yeah, he had to isolate. He had a test. But it does look like, and I know we'll get to cornerbacks when we get to the defense. So we get to cornerbacks in about 3 weeks' time. Does look like the season's going to start Anthony Brown, Trayvon Diggs as your cornerback 1 and 2. That's how it's looking as it stands. So there is that to look at. Since we are on the subject of tight ends, don't know if you've seen it, a lot of connections between Dak and Dalton Schultz in training. Some very nifty across the middle and some nice corner routes from Dalton Schultz. I know it's install and practice only and all the rest of it, but still, connections looking good. Dak looks good too. And also, Mike McCarthy, I don't know if you've seen, he made a comment this week on Dak Prescott. Have you seen this based on his leadership?
So I say that again?
Dak Prescott. So Mike McCarthy made a comment this week on Dak Prescott. In his words, and I quote, Dak Prescott's leadership exudes through the entire football operation. I'm sure it goes beyond that. The everyday interaction with him is so consistent and steady. He's so real. He's as real a person I've been fortunate to work with, and I've been fortunate to work with a lot of great ones.
That says a lot.
That says a lot coming from Mike McCarthy. So that was quite interesting.
All things considering, he's been with one of the best quarterbacks that the NFL's ever seen in Aaron Rodgers. So for him to say that about Dak, that's a big compliment.
Exactly. So yes, he did say that, which was quite interesting. I do have an article on this. One of the guys who stood out on defense this week, I'm not sure if you've seen, is cornerback Nahshon Wright. Making some plays, getting on the ball, driving on the ball as well. Quite interesting. Article on him that I've written up coming up this week. CD Lamb also making plays, made a comment as well about get your popcorn ready. And then finally in the news, Michael Gallup, he's turned around and he said, I want to stay with the Dallas Cowboys. At what cost and at what price and what he's willing to bend with, we'll find out at the end of the year. And I'm sure when we get to training camp, fingers crossed that happens. Yes, we get to keep Michael Gallup. But on the news of training camp, which the Cowboys hold in Oxnard, California, the governor's turned around and said they are looking to come out of lockdown next week. So another tick in the box. Woohoo!
Is it still Oxnard? Is it? I thought they'd go back to the start. I thought they were doing it from there.
Aye, that was last year, but they are.
Yeah.
Mike McCarthy said in the press conference he is hoping that they get to Oxnard. So
I think it's all this last 18 months has just screwed us all over, and you just forget what the norm is.
I mean, you think this time of year in Dallas, it's just too hot to train. You know, they're really hoping to get to Oxnard. The best way to describe how I felt when over that time of year is it's like being in someone's mouth. It's just that warm. But let's get into, guys, the breakdown series then. So the tight ends.
You may have just missed a little bit of key information as well. Michael Parsons signed his rookie contract.
Yes, he did. And Kelvin Joseph, literally just before we went live, signed his. So I think that's all of them signed.
No, is it not just the third rounders now? It just needs to sign those?
Third rounders might be, yeah.
Do you know what, though?
And for them, really, it's not that difficult. The third rounders, their only guaranteed part is this signing bonus.
Just touching on Parsons as well. Did anybody see the pictures of him signing the deal? God, he looks huge.
Mm-hmm.
He's going to be fun to watch. He's going to be fun to watch this year. And
I like him. What I'm seeing from Nashon Wright. What I've seen from Nashon Wright the next week is
he's going to be the steam of the year.
Yeah. And also some people were worried about Amari Cooper not being in training and a few of the other vets. Ask the question, don't panic. They gave a lot of the vets some time off. So it was rookies only.
What are you talking about? Cooper has been there. He's been playing chess with Michael Parsons.
Yeah. He's been doing that too. Took him to town as well. But all right, let's get into this. I mean, it's going to be fairly quick and simple with the tight ends this week. But let's start off, guys, with first of all, I want to do this before we get into Blake Jarwin. What is your overall feeling on the tight end position? Now, me personally, I see as a weakness to the offense. Yeah, I'm the same. A lot of people in the draft were saying the Cowboys' position in need is tight end. And a lot of people going, what? I think they weren't wrong. I don't think that they were wrong. But I got your take there, Jamie, and I get yours, Paul, and then Rich. What's your overall consensus feeling on the tight end position?
Going into the draft, it was my biggest concern.
Yeah, mine too.
It's just not, for me, it's not a threat. And I'm not saying we'll ever find another Jason Witten, because we probably won't. But like, you knew what you were going to get with Jay Witt in centre field.
Oh, Paul's face.
It was reliable in the red zone. It was pretty much unplayable in the red zone. And
our red zone offense sucked too. And a lot of what you can say when it comes to the red zone with the offense, a lot of that is about your tight ends because it's a smaller space.
And we just haven't. Not saying Schultz and Jarwin won't get some yards. I just don't think they'll be as productive at that position that we would probably need to get to the next level.
Go on, Paul. Give us the other side.
Wait, okay, I've got a few points here. Right, when you've got three-star wide receivers, right?
Agree.
Right. You're not expect to make the tight end to make 1,000 yards or whatever in that, or these.
No.
No, but you know what I mean? But we need to bear in mind, right? Jarwin got injured first game of the season, right? He was going to be the guy, right? And you made the point there, Jamie, about Jason Witten. Like, when he came back for that one season, I feel as though we wasted Jarwin, him being on the sideline, personally. Because Witten was just there just to kind of like lace up his boots, play for one more season for the Cowboys, and that was it. like he wasn't the same Jason Witten that we were all used to when he came back for that season. So I felt as though, like, when we gave Jarwin that 3-year contract, I felt, okay, this is a bit of a good motivation here. And during training camp last year, he was one of the talk of the talks, was Blake Jarwin, along with Cooper and Gallup, and obviously Lamb. So, like, the whole, like, it was going to be like our offense was going to be phenomenal, blah, 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 blah. But obviously the injury happened. Dalton Schultz stepped up, made it, like, he did what he did. He did his job. He made his blocks. He made his catches, what he needed to do. But you need to bear in mind as well, we didn't have Dak as well. We did not have him through like after that injury, Dak's injury. So there's the whole new quarterback. Might necessarily, like, you had Ben DiNucci throwing balls to God knows who, like interception, whatever. Then you had Blaine Gabbert. Then you had Andy Dalton. So I think it's a bit of an unfair assessment on our tight ends, saying it's our biggest need when the other positions that lead up to the tight end were getting more broken down, like the quarterback, for example. You know, so that's how I personally feel. I didn't feel tight end was a need at all. Like everyone, like, I'm sorry, mate. I'm gonna rant. Everyone keep mentioning,
you go.
Everyone keep mentioning Kyle fucking Pitts. I was fucking sick of hearing it. I was like, we don't need him. Like, I don't care if he was a generational player. We don't need him. Like, this one player will not change our defense. He would not change it. Like, we would still have to come on and do above and beyond and might still lose a bloody game because our defense was not up to scratch. So we did the right thing by drafting Micah Parsons. In that respect.
I don't think anyone's disagreeing with that. I mean,
it's just the fact that we didn't
and obviously needed defense, but yeah, it was a very big need, and you can go through it. That we say, look, okay, let's start with Blake Jarwin, right? So in 2024 year deal, that was worth 22 million. So this year on the cap in 2021, forget about 2020, he was on IR. So 2022, he's $4.5 million on the cap. This is a guy though that in 2017 was taken by the Cowboys as an undrafted free agent. And when we took him, because make no bones about it, in college, he was not a good tight end. We put him on the practice squad and we left him there. And the only reason we brought him up onto the active roster was because the Eagles poached him. The Eagles came around and went, yeah, we could do with some help over here. And they poached, and we said, no, we'll bring him up to the top. The issues with Blake Jarwin, and there's a couple of things. The first one is that he can't block. The best way to describe his blocking is it's like falling over slowly, is the best way to describe his style of blocking. The other issue is the ACL tear. And I've asked the question last week too, because there hasn't really been an update. So I asked the question, said, how's he doing? All I got was, not too bad, he's doing okay. Okay, that's not a lot, really. Here's my final issue, and then we can get into what Blake Jarwin is. 2019, so if we go to 2018, he only scored 3 touchdowns. Those 3 touchdowns came in one game. The other 15 games, he did nothing. 2019, he scored a touchdown in week 1, a touchdown in week 3, a touchdown in week 8. So since week 8 of 2019, he hasn't scored a touchdown. And now we were getting into 2021.
But that's not his fault, though.
But that's your tight end one. Of course, it's his fault. When in the red zone, when in the red zone, the Cowboys' red zone's offense is terribly bad. We ranked 32nd in red zone efficiency.
It just really depends on the play. They may be not designed to go for that's what this is my point though, Mike. Like we made some really stupid calls being in the red zone for the past 2 years. That's a fact. Some of them should have been past the Jarwin or past the Schultz. They should have been, but they didn't. If you know what I mean.
But you can't put Jarwin in on the red zone. That's the issue. Because
and that's where I was kind of picking up as well with, and I know he didn't fall to us, but that's where maybe a Kyle Pitts would have been great for us, just for the fact that we haven't got that upper echelon of a tight end, like you say, like a Gronk, do you know what I mean, or like a Kelsey, that it kind of it restricts what you can do in the red zone, because, like you say, because we haven't got that upper echelon of a tight end. So you put Cooper in, you put Gallup in, and you have Zeke in the backfield. Well, it's going to go to one of those three. If you've got like a Kelsey kind of tight end, if you've got the four of them in, it's going to make the defense think a little bit better, and it's going to give you open up the playbook a lot more for you. And that's where my concern was, because it just restricts us in the end in the red zone, because we just haven't got someone that you can rely on at that particular time.
Both sides, because you're going to be one-dimensional. Because if you go Blake Jarwin, you go, oh well, we know where this is going. So, but like here's my thing. I'm not saying I dislike Blake Jarwin. I like him, and even for fantasy, I would take him too. There's no issues there, and I want the Cowboys to keep Blake Jarwin, because he's very much a typical F style tight end. Is what he is. That's what he is. Mm-hmm. Play him in line or in the slot, and you're just trying to get him on seam routes or on corner routes. Really is what you're trying to do.
Yep.
But it's very one-dimensional, his game. But my issue with him is that I don't see him as a tight end one. And for nearly every other team in the NFL, he would not be a tight end one. I know, obviously, we had Gold-Jack which is hard to try and break a tight end one. But when you have a guy like Jason Witten, and you had Blake Jarwin as tight end too, that's amazing. Perfectly fine with that. But you put Blake Jarwin as a tight end one, now I've got an issue.
Yeah, like you said, you're not comparing him to 31 other Jason Wittens. You're comparing him to 31 other mostly normal tight end ones.
As long as we're not comparing it to Jason Witten's last season with the Cowboys.
No, definitely not.
Yeah.
There's good points on both sides. I do think there is something to say for there's been a severe lack of continuity between Dak specifically and Jarwin through obviously Witten coming back and then the injury last year. There are too many variables out there to say that he's had a decent block body of work to say he's absolutely he's no good, we need to move on. And that's their problem. They haven't committed to doing that to find out so that they can categorically say. But at the same time, you look at the needs of this team, and there are so many other needs that rank above tight end realistically.
Oh, yeah.
Jason, don't forget, his game is very one-dimensional. Like you said, completely agree 100%. But there's no reason that they can't use that to their advantage, especially in the end zone. Because if you line them up there and you're lining them up a certain way like he always plays, it's good for moving the ball. But when they get into the end zone or get in the red zone, things start to fall apart, which is what we've seen in the past couple of seasons. You can still use that to your advantage. Don't forget, you've still got Zeke in the backfield, who you can use as that extra lineman to then buy Dak some time to get the ball out to either him or one of your other wide receivers. You can use that to your advantage, but they haven't seemed to have done that. And there was plenty of occasions, like Paul said, where the ball should have gone to him or to Schultz, and it didn't. So I think there's a lot of things in play here.
There's a few factors, yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of factors here.
And taking your ACL tear as well, and we haven't seen him at all. So you've got a guy that haven't scored a touchdown since week 8 of 2019. Throw in an ACL tear as well, and that's going to be your tight end one coming into the season, and you're not concerned about it.
No, there is concern. I would much rather have a tight end that doesn't rack up lots of yards, but racks up lots of touchdowns in the end zone. I would much rather that, me personally. Yeah. But it's you're in the situation you're in. You can't fix every hole in 1 or 2 years. And this team has gone down in the past couple of years, not up, to the point where you've patched those holes. Now you can move on to the next ones. You're having to repatch holes from before because you didn't do a good enough job or it didn't work out. So there are so many things in play here, and I really think that this year is probably, if he can get a full body of work this year, you can really see what he specifically brings, what he can do, what he can't do. But they can use his limitations to their advantage.
I think the other thing as well is getting the role of momentum as well, which we didn't really get. We did not get to see that at all from Jarwin. Let's be honest.
Exactly.
So I think if you were just to roll the train consistently, get him through the rotation, get him through all the reps, we might see that change in him as well.
Exactly. Like you want a full off season, you want the training camp, you want all the OTAs, you want the preseason games, and then you want the full season of work. That's what you need to evaluate anyone realistically. That's really what you need, or you definitely need the time beforehand. So I have worries about the red zone as well as Mike. I completely agree, but I also completely agree with Paul. I think we're still in the same situation. Unfortunately, we were last year and the year before, in that we haven't seen enough of him consistently in one solid block of work from end to end with no breaks in the middle to say we know what he is. Like, we get he has his limitations in terms of he can't block very well. But we knew that anyway, having him. There's nothing new been learnt there.
Like, I would like to think Jerry and Stephen and the coaches and at the time made the decision to give him that 3-year contract. That the 4-year contract. Then obviously they saw something in him that is worth keeping. So
But I mean, here's one for you though, because they do have an out next year. That in terms of dead cap, it's only $2 million, right? If they cut him next year, do you think then that this year is the make or break season for Blake Jarwin? Having he's been there since 2017. You've had a year with him on the cap, not playing the game, limited production as well. Do you think this year is the make or break year for him?
Yes, 100%.
Yeah, I would say so. I feel as though his head's what's the saying? It's like his back against the wall with this one because he's coming back from the ACL tear. Like I think he knows like he cannot afford to do any get himself into a situation where he'll get himself injured. He can't afford to do it.
Yeah,
but at the same time, he needs to ball out. So everyone's kind of against him at the moment.
You don't know, like Paul said, it's going to be back against the wall, especially with how CeeDee Lamb balled out as well. So we've got three exceptional wide receivers that are going to 9 times out of 10 going to get the ball more than he's going to be targeted 9 times out of 10 more than he is. So with the limited probably production he's going to get, like I say, he's going to be ill afforded for drops and negative yards and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I think whichever way you look at it, realistically, I think it probably is because, like Paul said, like you highlighted, Mike, the deal's been built this way because they were intending to have a body of work for him to say after 2 years, if we don't think he's great, we have an out, we can move on. Now, through partly their fault in the whole Jason Witten thing, they haven't been able to find out. But another thing's in injuries, then that's no one's fault, really. So that's just one of those things. If the same happens this year, then they'll probably move on because it's one of those things. They haven't moved on, but at the same time, they haven't seen enough consistency when he has played. You can take that either which way from what I've said previously or what we've said previously. If he balls out, then he probably stays. But if he gets injured or if he doesn't ball out or if he's average, I think he's probably potentially gone.
I'm with you.
I know I've been kind of like, I do like Jarwin. And I do like.
I do too. Don't get it wrong. That what I've said about the negatives of him isn't a thing against him in terms of me hating him. I just don't like him as the thought that that's your main tight end threat.
What I was going to say is kind of looking at a comparison when you look at a different team. What could have happened is the Chiefs, for example, they had Tony Gonzalez at one point.
Yeah.
And Travis Kelce was the understudy.
Yeah.
So And we're not getting that same effect really when it came to Witten and Jarwin, unfortunately, and that's the way it is. Not everything kind of turned out the way it's supposed to, but I just want to kind of add that wee back point in there. I don't know if that's that contract's
100%.
kind of that. I don't know if they're still hoping that might come to fruition based on the contract. But
Well, here's the
Maybe.
funny thing. Go on. I don't mean to interrupt you.
No, I was gonna say he's one of the. This really strikes me. One of these players is if it doesn't work out this year, if he gets injured, or if
Yes.
he's just okay, he's going to be one of those players that goes to another team and does really well because he's just had bad luck here. You know it's going to happen, but at the same time, you can't hold it against the front office necessarily if they do let him go.
Yeah.
It's going to be one of those situations,
Could
unless he
you
falls
then-
out.
Could you not then flip the kind of the conversation from what Paul says? Because Paul makes a perfect example there that the Chiefs had Gonzalez and then Kelsey forced his way in. Now, if either of these guys were any good, they would have beaten out an old school Jason Witten. If they were any good.
There's only a problem
And-
there.
and-
Is
and-
that
The problem with that was Jason Garrett was too loyal to Jason Witten. That was the main problem.
everyone said it. You look at all the Cowboys media, they said if Jason Witten's on this team, he's on the field.
He's on.
He's healthy, he's on the field. You can't not play Jason Witten. If you're not playing Jason Witten and he's on the game day roster and he's healthy, everyone's going to be saying, why the heck aren't we playing Jason Witten? And it's a valid point.
Yeah.
You're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't. It's the lesser of two evils. And unfortunately, Blake Jarwin fell on the wrong side of that.
And when you look at the scenario where it came to the Chiefs, is like Gonzalez came in from the Falcons like on 2 years, then they brought like the year, I think it was the season after they got Kelsey to be the understudy. Like it wasn't exactly Gonzalez has always been in Kansas City. They brought him in there to kind of like do a job, but also to get Kelsey the way he is now. You know what I mean?
And here's an interesting one. Go on.
No, go on, Mike. Sorry.
I was going to say, what is interesting is I can, in fact, make a better argument for you about Blake Jarwin not being here next year by a guy they got on the roster who they are paying peanuts for. There is a guy they have on the roster right now. They picked up this year, an undrafted free agent, who is an exact mirror of Blake Jarwin. I know I've done this before with other players, and I know you like it. I've done it again. We'll get to him in a minute, and once I compare them with everything, you'll go, holy ding dong. They are exactly the same.
Well, I don't know about holy ding dong, but
No one
You will
saying
say
that,
holy
Mike.
ding. You will say
Nobody
holy
is
ding
saying
dong.
that.
Nah.
Okay,
You
go
will
on.
always say
just-
holy ding dong.
I was just going to bring up the draft and then maybe another thing for Jarwin and Schultz, etc., to look at is what's the class like that's coming out in the draft next year? Because that could also, if I haven't had a chance to look, but if it's a really good draft class, and I don't mean up in the first round, maybe say maybe second, third round. If it's deep, then they.
I'm trying to think
they
of the
might start
seniors
work-
coming out
they need to
mostly.
start panicking maybe. But if it's a deep draft, then it could be nail on the coffin before the season's even started.
I'm trying to. I don't think we have been spoiled in recent years with the tight end position. It's been very classy, but yeah, I'll double check and I'll get back to you on that, Jay. I'll have to check on that. But the next guys on the roster, let's go a little bit further down and look at last year's high riser and team, pretty much the team sweetheart that everybody jumped on and went, "Whoa, holy ding dong!" That we are talking Dalton Schultz here from Stanford. He's only 24 years of age before we even begin. He's in his contract year this year, 2.2 mil on the cap. Taken in the fourth round in 2018. Last year was his pinnacle year. 615 yards, 4 touchdowns. And a lot of people will go, well, that's not a lot. Both touchdowns and yards for a tight end that Dalton Schultz had ranked him 6. And if you take that there's four tight ends, very, very good tight ends. One of them, Kittle, was pretty much out for the year, so we'll discount him. But if you take the other guys And then you think of all the other tight ends in the league. Dalton Schultz was above most of them. He was 6 in yards and touchdowns. But what is surprising that people don't realize is he actually went for 33 first downs on the season, which is not bad at all. Which for your tight end, totally fine.
Don't forget, Mike, you still had Lamb, Cooper, and Gallup.
But this is what the argument for Dalton Schultz comes into play. That you say Blake Jarwin did well in a couple of games with those wide receivers. Maybe not so much CeeDee Lamb. He hasn't had a chance yet.
Yeah.
But when you look at Dalton Schultz and you go, wow, he produced really, really well. Well, bear in mind, you've got a safety, Shaden Cooper or Gallup all the time. So you've got an overhang, which basically means when you look at a lot of the defenses that were playing this offense, the middle of the field was always wide open, which is exactly where Dalton Schultz was playing most of his game. So I think when you talk about the lesser of two evils, I think defenses were giving Dalton Schultz the cushion to play because they were too busy trying to deal with the other evil. I don't know what you guys make of that.
They gave him the middle of the field, yeah.
Big time.
But that doesn't mean he's going to hold the ball, and he's still got to do his job. And
he's still got to do it exactly.
And we flip it back. I know it's not a direct comparison, but when Tony went down years ago, Dak came in, wasn't expected to do anything, and he came in and he took the ball by the horn, so to speak, and he did his job. And
look at him now. Look at his
history. And he's coming and he wasn't expected to do much. Obviously, being tight end 2, potentially tight end 3, if the rosters would have been fully fit. And he's coming in, he's done his job. So you could potentially argue that he has a case for coming back the year after. Again, as maybe as tight end 2. He's obviously not going to be a tight end 1, but you get a little bit of production out of him.
Yeah, but I mean, he was averaging 5 targets a game, and he finished on the season with 63 receptions, and that ranked 4th amongst tight ends. So they were giving him a lot of that, but a lot of it was prevalently down the middle of the field, where he was only dealing with perhaps the slots, the strong safety. My biggest issue with him was, although we like his blocking, and at the point of attack, he was doing fine. But his blocking really, when we used him in line, it was only average. And you can go back and check that. You'll see it quite a lot. But the other issue with me is he had 3 drops. So, he's having 63 receptions, but he had 3 drops. And I'm pretty certain that 2 of them happened at critical points of the game. So you're talking concentration or pressure drops.
Fair point. There's a lot to be said for, as well, again, the same or similar arguments we made earlier for Jarwin. You can make for Schultz in terms of continuity, getting that chemistry going with your quarterback, because he played under a couple of quarterbacks last year. The offensive line play. There's lots of other things. Yes, you've got to take the rough with the smooth, but the really crappy thing is, we know that we've made the point that you want to be giving a decent amount of snaps to Blake Jarwin to find out what you've got in Blake Jarwin. You will, and I think a lot of people out there, or at least a fair amount, will probably agree with that, one way or another.
That's a fair point, yeah.
You want to be doing the same for Schultz.
Yeah, give him a fair crack at the whip.
And because what Mike's highlighted, we've actually seen a bit more from him in a smaller sample size.
Yeah, and not just that, with multiple quarterbacks.
Yeah, exactly. Now, you have to temper that with the fact of he's, obviously, like you said, when you're lining up alongside Cooper, Gallup, Lamb, and then there's him, if you're on an opposing defense, you're going to focus on those other 3 guys and not him, which is probably a fair reason why he got so much success. Yeah. Exactly. You have to set yourself up to succeed. You're going to try and let the guy who's not seen the field as much fail and allow him, give him some cushion. That's just common sense. Yeah. But there's a potential decent rotation there. He was a bit more reliable. Like you said, he ranked 6th in terms of touchdowns. You could have Jarwin trying to move the ball midfield, switch him up midfield, and then put him in the end in red zone situations. See how that works out. You could try and split the reps that way, but then you're doing Jarwin a disservice. really. So it's a.
Could you see a potential though to if we're on a really good run and we're getting, we're getting a lot of production out of CeeDee Lamb and a lot out of Amari Cooper, but maybe not so much out of the tight end position when we're targeting them, and the talks for Gallup don't go as planned, and it's like if we had maybe a bit more production for the tight end position, that this team could get over the hump and get into the playoffs. Could you see the Cowboys saying, you know what, let's not lose Gallup for anything and go out and trade for a tight end before the trade deadline?
They very much could.
Here's my thing. Like, I definitely think, and this is a question for you guys as well. I think this is going to be a good battle for the number one spot. I think. Like, there's
competition.
I think for the first time, because we got to see Schultz in pretty much a Dak Prescott scenario where he was thrown into the Wolves.
Yeah.
I felt like, personally, I think Schultz exceeded expectations massively.
Yeah.
Like, when you put things all things considering, and now when you put Jarwin, who's on the longer term contract, but yada, it's like, okay, fight for number one spot. Let's see what you guys can do. Go for it. So. So I'm quite intrigued by that.
That's the one I'm looking forward to the most.
Yeah, the tight end for me on the offense. I'm more concerned about the tight end than I am about the offensive line. Put it that way.
Yeah, I think that's fair. Yeah,
the offensive line I've got more confidence in, definitely. And the way to look at it is when you go back and you look at Blake Jarwin. So how far along has Blake Jarwin come in the time he's been the guy behind Witten and had to play the tight end one role at times? And you say, right, he was down here. How far up the ladder of him involved in his game has he come along? And you would say, not too much. He's pretty much the same as what he was when we got him to what he is now. Dalton Schultz, on the other hand, made a massive explosion just in 1 year.
Yeah. And the question is, can he continue that on now?
On that path, yeah.
With everything on the checklist, it's like Dak is back, all that type of stuff. You know what I mean? So
Zeke's going to be more comfortable.
And yeah, that as well. Yeah. So when all the players are more comfortable, you really expect more fireworks. So
yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, so let's move on to the next guy on the list then. Jeremy Sprinkle. He's 26 years of age, from Arkansas. Was taken in the 5th round in 2017 by what was at the time Washington. We won't say the name just for safety reasons. Almost had you. He's on a 1-year deal with the Cowboys. He's 980 on the cap, 980K on the cap, with the rest in incentives. So, yeah, I mean, Sprinkle, 301 yards and 3 touchdowns over the career. The most interesting thing I've checked on, he's actually played, and in some cases started, in all 16 games over the last 3 years. I watched a little bit of YouTube to have a look at him because obviously I didn't see much of him in Washington, didn't really pay that much attention. Looking at him, he's the complete opposite of Blake Jarwin. So you've got a guy who can't catch the ball, although he did make a couple, but his blocking, man, that's good. I think he's untested as a receiver is the best, most polite way to put it. What do you guys see it?
Isn't this the same tight end that actually destroyed us last year? Am I thinking about someone else?
I don't think you're thinking of this guy.
No, I think you're thinking of someone else.
Yeah.
No. Who was the tight end for Washington that absolutely we've never even heard of? That
happened a lot last year with plays we never heard of.
Do you know what
and I'm pretty sure it was Sprinkle. I'm pretty sure it was. Wait a minute.
Sprinkle. He does. I'm not saying that he hasn't had bad games because he has caught. Where were we looking? He's caught 3 touchdowns in his career over the last 3 years. But what do you guys make of Sprinkle? Do you think that this is the guy that they're going to bring in on like jumbo package? That sort of deal.
We're not going to massively see him. You say you get to in some instances you see it at Titan 2, don't you? That Titan 2, Titan 3 are literally in for specific things that they're just there, aren't they? You're not going to get a lot of production out of him. So you might see him catch 1 or 2 balls on a Sunday night game because it's a prime time game. He gets his name out there, but that's really about it, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, for me, I think he will be on the roster. I mean, obviously, we'll do our predictions on the 55-man roster is what it is now. Like we did last year, we'll try and do some predictions. I think Sprinkle will be on the field, used mainly as your goal line, or if they're trying to use a heavy package on the run game to block. For me, I mean, that's the best I can say about Jeremy Sprinkle, but I do think he will be on the roster, as opposed to the other guy who's on there. I think this Sean McEwen, 23 years of age, from Michigan, undrafted free agent in 2020, 2.2 on the year deal. So he's in the second year of a 3-year deal, 2.2 that was. This year, though, $780K on the cap. I actually think, I don't know what you guys think. Well, here we are, Rich. I'll ask you. Do you think he's on the roster come week 1?
Maybe. I don't know. It's. I don't see how much you really gain, really, in terms of speaking, because you really, really are one-dimensional if you have him, I think. I mean, it's pretty obvious what you're going to do. Yeah.
I mean, like, he did play in 1 game last year, but I was just looking at him in his combine. Like, you couldn't even call it average. He's just not an athlete. He has trouble in his route stems, is definitely what I saw. And gaining leverage as a blocker, trying to get a hook on players, you just don't see it with him. Although he is good as a blocker with his footwork, and he gets his base right and he gets his body angles right, it just seems to be the hands fail him.
I think if you see him, someone's gone wrong.
Sorry, man. It was Logan Thomas I'm thinking about.
Logan Thomas.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, a few people had them on some fantasy teams. But what do you think, Jay? 1 minute. There we go. If you unmute your mic, Jay. If you want to unmute your mic.
Sorry,
there he is. The Godfather's back. Yeah, it's all right. We know you just sometimes like to just sit there in silence. Just sitting there in silence, ignoring us. Yeah, I mean, have you got a take on Sean McEwen?
Struggle to get the roster.
I don't think he'd be on the roster, personally. Out of the 2 other tight ends, so you got your top 4. I think Sprinkle makes it. McEwen, I think he's done. He's done for.
I don't know. I know we've touched on it a little bit, just when we've kind of toured and throd. I think what out of anything hampers the tight end position as a whole on this roster is the fact that we've got such a good running back, and also at the minute 3 top end wide receivers, because there's just no need to have 2-3 decent tight ends, because they're just not going to get the ball.
Yeah,
I don't know. I think they would get the ball in the red zone, 100%. I think they would definitely come into their fruition there.
I mean, they're not. Sorry, I mean, just in terms of they're not going to get 15, 20 catches a game, that kind of thing. Do you know what I mean? It's going to be
I know what you mean. They're not going to rack it up.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's really the main fault. We do have as well on the roster 3 other undrafted free agents. So there's Artavius Lynn from TCU. So he's on $660 on the cap. His junior year, which was in 2020, 88 yards and a touchdown. So just gonna cross him off the list.
And then genuinely think I could match that.
Yeah, you got Nick Ralston from Louisiana College. Same again, 660 on the cap. 2019, he was a fifth-year senior. 100 yards on the ground with 4 touchdowns, but he's more of a H-back style tight end. A heavy-set guy. First thing I put in brackets was H-backs. So I think out of those two guys, he's got the maybe the slightest of chances to make perhaps a practice squad spot. I don't know what you think, guys, on that.
I'd agree. Yeah. I mean, it was in the comment a minute ago. The guy pulls like semi-trucks, doesn't he? Training out in the off season, like straps him up and pulls him along. So.
Mike's just completely frozen.
Yeah.
Like he's falling asleep on us.
Mike's gone to sleep. Wake up, Mike.
Yep. Wonder if his internet's crashed out again.
Blinking egg. Oh, is he coming back? Hey.
There we go. Yeah. My Wi-Fi decided to turn itself off, so I just done a very quick.
I called it, didn't I?
We thought you'd just gone to sleep.
Yeah, no, I wanted to give you never guess what's really great. Haha, I'm gone. Yeah, so Nick Eubanks, right, guys? This is the one I wanted to get to. Because this guy is Blake Jarwin's double, right? 600, and he's only 660K against the cap, right? So first of all, if I just give this to you, this is how they stack up in measurements wise, right? So Blake Jarwin, 6'5". Nick Eubanks, 6'4.5". His weight, 245 pounds. Blake Jarwin, 246 pounds. The 40-yard dashes, Blake Jarwin, 4'7'3". Nick Eubanks, 4'6'9". Right? So straight away, their height and speed and their height speed measurables are going to be exactly the same on the charts, right? It gets even freakier though, right? Vertical jump for Blake Jarwin, 34 inches. Nick Eubanks, 34 inches. Nick Eubanks broad jump, 120 inch. Blake Jarwin, 121. Then if we've got a bench press, 19 reps for Nick Eubanks, 20 for Blake Jarwin. So how they look, athletic profile, and just in the general frame, they're exactly the same. Then if you look at Nick Eubanks' season with Michigan, he finished with 240 yards and 3 touchdowns, which is best season. Blake Jarwin, 288 yards and 1 touchdown was Blake Jarwin's best season. They're exactly the same. Yet one is costing you 4 million, the other one's costing you less than $1 million. I know that there's development that you've got to take into it, team dynamics, all the rest of it. But all I'm saying is you've got a guy that we're all saying is amazing and great, yet you've got his double as an undrafted free agent sat waiting on a quarter of the price.
Get what you're saying.
I get that, but then I also think, are we saying that this could potentially be his last season? So if it's going to be his last season, why keep the exact same prototype on the roster if you're looking for something different from that position?
Yeah, that also. But my argument is that we said, do you think this could be Blake Jarwin's last year? And then you look at his contract setup that you've got out next year in terms of dead cap for Blake Jarwin, and then you've got a guy who's 660K on the cap, who's his exact double. I think this, without, unless Blake Jarwin, so you've got Michael Gallup, CeeDee Lamb, Amari Cooper, all have 1,000-yard seasons because they weren't that far off it last year. Then I think the only way Blake Jarwin stays is that he gets on 1,000-yard. So you'd have Dak on more than a 4,000-yard passing season. But yeah, I mean,
hot take.
I do. I do agree with Doug that, yeah, we're in terms of Michigan's play style, how that they play with the slanting offense. But yeah, it's just trying to show schematically and statistically and with the combine numbers how close, how close they are as a player in their style and everything else. But that was just something that popped out. I mean, I was like, okay. So it's just something that's quite interesting. But have you guys got any take on the undrafted free agent tight ends before we move it on?
Not really, to be honest with you. I've not really paid much attention, if I'm being perfectly honest.
Thanks for that, Paul.
Sorry, man. I'm just, me, man. I'm like, when you mentioned about the defense, then I'll be all guns blazing.
Well, defense is coming next week, so that's interesting. The tight end one is always a tricky one. You've still got to do it. You still got to look at them, but everybody's always the same. Like, yeah, it's going to be one of the two guys, and maybe throw the third one in.
I know.
I mean, that's about as far as it's going to go.
You know me, Mike. I like to keep it real.
This is true.
Yeah.
Although I have been.
My only thought is specifically is that after this season, if Blake Jarwin doesn't work out, they'll probably try and get someone else that's good. If not, they'll go for the cheaper Blake Jarwin. And that's pretty much it.
Unless next year, when next year's draft is an blue chip prospect in the first or second round.
It does seem to be, though, that it's always the Cowboys seem to be the NFL's tight end development team. When you look at the tight ends that have come through, that we develop and then they move on.
Yeah, Vito Gavos, anyone?
But then Jason Witten.
but he was a second round.
You got Jason Witten. You're going to play Jason Witten. You're never going to go anywhere else until Jason Witten goes somewhere else. True. So you're only ever going to be a developmental team for tight end. Exactly. Yeah.
So yes, guys. Just a quick one though. For anyone watching and for the podcast people listening, the podcast people in particular, we want to give a big shout out. So the audio only version, you guys are absolutely rock solid on that one. You're like one of our biggest demographics. So if you get a chance on our YouTube channel, just give us a rate and review. That would be brilliant because there's hundreds of you doing that over there. So that would be brilliant. But also just a thanks to not just the people in the UK and in America, thanks to everyone else over the other side of the world and everywhere else, because you're also a big demographic too. So thank you very much, people.
Not just America's team, the world's team.
Not just America's team.
World.
Yeah. And here's the favourite bit, Rich's favourite bit, which is this one. Guys, if you are going to a game this year, make sure you book it through Cowboys Experience. They've got game day tickets, packages, stadium tours, and tailgate parties that you guys are not going to want to miss. And as we say every week, if you go to one of their events, make sure you send it to us because that goes right to the top of our social media page. And, of course, the most important thing of all is you can see it in red there. Use a discount code UK Cowboys, because what happens, guys, if you say the simple word UK Cowboys to them,
you get free stuff.
It's not
you get not all the free stuff. You get some free stuff. It's pretty good free stuff. Just some free stuff. It's enough free stuff. Don't be a clown. You get enough free stuff to make you not a clown.
It's still
you
free.
Graduate and you don't end up being a clown. It's good. Otherwise, you may as well be a Philly fan. So just leave.
Well, speaking about Philly, I might be at the Cowboys Experience at the Philly game, so I may be there as well.
Yeah. How much wood could Paul Stewart chuck if a Paul Stewart could chuck at a Philly's game?
Well, I survived one of them. I'm pretty sure I can survive another one.
If you go into the Cowboys Eagles games, use the voucher code and you get to see Paul's guns out.
When do you get
traditional
back?
Dress? If he's going in traditional dress, he's going armed. Don't forget.
Yeah,
when do you get back as well, Paul? Just so I know, because we'll try and sort something out. What month will you be back in the UK?
Back in the UK, I'll be back in October. I'm going there for a whole month.
Okay.
When he's released from beating up Eagles fans.
So I'm flying out on the day of the Tampa Bay game. I literally would arrive in Houston, Texas, going straight to the bar to watch the game, pretty much. But that's all pending on with obviously the restrictions and stuff like that still. But the way how things are going right now with the UK and USA now on the amber list, which was moved which happened a couple of weeks ago.
That's right.
And way things are now progressing with the vaccines and stuff like that, which is great. I think it's only a matter of time, not too far away, but a lot sooner rather than later, that UK citizens can actually start going back to the US and not having a quarantine. But I think you will need to still require a negative test within 3 days and possibly documentation of you getting your vaccine. So I think that's the requirements that's going to happen. But yeah, so I'll be flying out 9th of September, and I think I'm due back the 11th of October, I believe.
October, okay. It's probably going to be November then. Yeah. Probably look at November then, all right? If you know what I'm about.
Wink, wink, nudge, nudge, nah, mate.
That's right.
That's right, government.
It's gone completely, at least something has come completely over my head, but that's nothing new, really, is it?
Jamie.
We literally spoke about it before we went live, that we'll do a road trip and then go into Scotland.
Oh, yeah, sorry. I was thinking American football, so that's why.
Oh, Jamie.
No, because we're live, so I thought it was referring to American football, but yeah.
No, Jamie, please do me one favor. Please be that fucked right now when you come up to mine.
You know the worst thing is I've only had 2.
Yeah,
we'll make that
November.
I'm surprised you feel need to ask.
And do you imagine when I give Jamie a shot? Mate, hold on. I need to say this.
Yeah.
Just imagine Jamie after one shot of Don Julio in 1942.
Yeah.
The whole world is going to burn.
I can genuinely imagine Jamie rocking up with like this little model train set, just with loads of shot glasses, and just a bottle of Jaeger, and just like Jaeger train. Like he'd literally make a freaking train for it. I can imagine Jamie doing that.
We're trying to move him on to more posher drinks.
In mid posher.
Like
Callan.
I'm gonna get Paul back anyway, Mike. Speaking of that road trip, I'm gonna get in the state he was when I picked him up from the train.
Yeah. So you got to lose your clothes. You got to lose your bank card.
Wait.
You've then got to lose the clothes that you buy.
Right, so hold on. Hold on a minute. If you're saying Carlin is posh for you, so what the fuck are you drinking right now? Fucking Tesco Value Lager?
No, I was taking
Stripey Whitey.
Sol.
Sol.
Oh, that's all right.
Sol's better than Carlin.
That's all right. That's nice.
Sol's much better.
Sol's tidy.
And we've suddenly become the alcohol podcast.
Yes.
Suddenly. No, we just stopped hiding it.
Yeah. Anyway, on that note.
Yeah. So, guys, next week, positional breakdown series. We move to the defenses, the defensive line, defensive ends, defensive tackles. Oh, baby, I am looking forward to it. And then it's the linebackers that get even better. And then it's the cornerbacks that get even better. Oh, oh man, the next 3 weeks are going to be brilliant. Oh, yeah. And by then... Oh, so amazing. Safeties are going to be a killer. There we go.
He's snorted. Oh.
But guys, I'm going to let you finish off the episode as we always do. I start us off and you finish it off. So from The Godfather, from the Buckfast, and from Bonesy Jones Malone's. Take it away, guys, and we'll finish the show.
Oh, man.